Yep.
Okay, so I'm creating a Unit 3 project for tonight. And make sure that under the PHP version, because I'm using the older one, I have 7.1 automatically selected. For the latest one, you guys would have 7.4. So make sure that you choose by clicking on Use Project Specification and choose 7.1 from the list. And then hit Finish, and you'll have the project done. In fact, let me create a new HTML file first.
Real quick, I'm sorry, Saad. You said 7.1.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. So I'll be creating an HTML file first. So HTML file are not all automatically listed in the list under new. So you may go to other. For my version of PHP, if I scroll down, HTML file is under web. But for you guys, it may, for latest edition guys, you probably may have it under other. Right? And then you will hit next. I'm calling my file links.html. And what we will be learning in this example is we will be learning about clicking on a link and from HTML page to a PHP page and passing the data in a link. And that's what we're going to be looking at, and then how you can retrieve the data on the other side in a link. You might have seen this many times on the internet, that after the URL, you'll see a question mark. Something equals to something. So what you see after the question mark is the name of the parameter that you're passing through the link and equals to the value. Let me bring an example from last week as well, so that we can, you guys can see the difference. So last week, we created a form. And in that form, we had some form elements by the name of title, for example, and the full name. So what we did on the PHP side, we took help from $post. And then we wrote the name of the parameter. And that is the form element, which is holding the value. And we're transferring the value through the post from the form element into a local variable. And then we are displaying the local variables. That's what we did with the help of post. But what we're doing now is not a post approach, it's a get approach. So that's why when we start coding PHP page, we will start using $_get to get the parameter so that we can grab its value. Okay? Let me know when you guys are done with this page, and then we will start working with. So Josh, Cole, and Victor still coding?
Yes, sorry.
No, that's fine.
Same here.
Yeah, because Cole and Victor usually tell me you fast so slow. We are slowed down because of your typing. So I was asking.
Saad's throwing shade today.
Well, no, I'm just telling what Cole and Victor tell me. Victor is like, man, you're too slow. You ruined my habits. Right, Victor and Cole?
I have never said that.
You guys can actually go ahead and create the PHP file called manager.php. Make sure that since you code this as manager with a lowercase m, so the manager.php should also be manager with a lowercase m.
Do you want it with the HTML frame or without it?
The PHP file?
Yeah.
Where does it ask you about HTML? Well, sorry, when it, okay, hold on a second. When you do PHP, oh, okay, hold on a second. Manager.php. Oh, on the next slide you're saying where it says
Yeah.
new, yeah, okay, yeah, new simple PHP, not frame set. No, frame set is a totally different stuff. Let's hold a second. Yeah, frame set is a totally different stuff. Just PHP file is good enough.
Does frame set just give you that template automatically, the HTML template? Or
Yeah,
is it
but if
a
you
little bit more than that?
scroll down, it also gives you a
Okay.
frame set.
Got it. So it gives you the template plus more.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Okay.
if you
Not really
want,
worth it.
and like for example, you can actually do this. You can pick frame set, create it, and then delete the frame set tag.
Right.
So that way,
Yeah.
you'll
I
have
just
the
have
template.
I just
Yeah.
have a template folder that I use. So
Okay.
What are you calling this one?
This one is manager, which is the name of the file we wrote in lines 10 through 14, manager.php. So if I choose frame set, I can then just get rid of all these frame set tags. And at least I'll have my PHP and everything built up. Just like that, okay. So I'm declaring a variable called name to receive the name. It's just not like they don't have to be the same, but just to minimize on the number of names, you can use the same one. Now I'll use the $ get, and then I'll use name. Oops. Just like that. And now it will transfer the name, whatever name is holding, into the local variable name. Then I can display name of manager is name, just like that. So whenever you guys are done with this, go ahead and first run the links.html on the server. So you right click on the HTML page and run as on server. And then when it is running on the server, you'll see that it is brought up in a web browser, and you can simply click on the name of the manager, and whoever's name you click on, that's the name it displays on the PHP page. You can just go back and click on a different name, and you can just keep doing that, just so that you can see that whenever you click on a manager, only that manager's name carries over. And you can even check that in the address bar, it says !, name equals to, and the name that you passed over.
hey Saad, how do you make it so it just opens a internet screen within Eclipse? Because mine opens it just in Chrome.
I didn't do anything extra. I did not change
Oh yeah,
any.
I didn't change anything either. Weird. Okay, I'll try and figure it out.
Yeah, I have that problem too, Josh.
Did we deal with the rounding last week?
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Okay. Let me see, because we dealt with numbers. Yeah, oh yeah, we did. Number, yeah. Now remember. So this is the get method. We will come back to this example to add some more code afterwards, but let's do another review with creating an HTML form and then passing it to a PHP page for processing purpose. So right click to create another HTML file. The name of this file will be comments.html.
How do we make HTMLs?
The same way that you did last time. You right click on the project, go to new, then click other. And then I don't know how you did it, like in your version, was it under web HTML or was it under other?
I messed up the first one. I made it a PHP.
Oh, okay. Can you see now?
Yeah, I know where it's at now.
How is it under is it under other or is it under HTML, like under web?
It's under other.
Other, okay, okay. So this probably is somewhat, a smaller version of a form where somebody put in their name and put some comments and hit submit and the information is going on the other side. Just for review's sake, so that you have seen it again. And we didn't have a chance to use the text area last week. So Okay. Let me know when you guys are done with this. So you guys took classes with Wendy and Alan as well, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Probably you'd have taken intro to programming and internet programming with Wendy.
Actually, I took internet programming with you.
Okay. So you never had Wendy other than intro to programming? Or you never had Wendy?
No, I've never had Wendy.
Okay. 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 So this pretty much, let's run this to make sure that we can see the form. Right click on it, run as, run on server. And this will only display you a text box and a text area. And keep this running. No need to close this. Oh, I forgot. Victor, you are done with this one?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So now let's create our next page, process.php. So we'll right click on the unit 3, create a new PHP file called process.php. And then again, I'll hit next and I'll choose the frame set one because it does comes up with a template. And then hit finish. And okay. So since I am reading the data through the post approach, so I will use the post object. And then echo name. Comment. So whenever you are done and you're running this, you can go back to that form that is already running them when we first tested it. And that's where you can put a name of a person and a comment. And then hit send, and you should be able to see the comment on the other end. Or I mean, like to the PHP on the PHP page output.
Can I see your manager PHP?
Manager.php. That was our previous example.
Thank you.
Oh, okay. Okay. So when you guys are running this, make sure you start running it from comments.html. When comments.html comes up, then you put in the data and you hit send. And then it will be received by the process.php, which will show you the output. You guys got it? Cole, Josh, Luke, Tom, Victor. Cole, you still working on it? Okay, cool. Got it. Now what I would like you guys to do this, we'll be going through some tests with this code. So what I want you to do is go back to your comments box and try to put that U in a bold by putting the opening and closing B tag around the word U right in the comment box. You know the HTML B tag for bolding the text? Start the B tag before one of your words. I mean, you probably may not have the exact same word, but words, so around one of your words, put a B opening tag and close it right after that word, and then hit the send button. And tell me what happens. What do you see on the other side?
It's bold.
Okay. So what does that mean? That if you put an HTML tag within your data, when it is on the other end, it will automatically be interpreted, okay? And you will see the output of that. What I would like you guys to do is this. Come back to your process.php page. And as you're reading the data into the comment, use this function NL2BR around your, what you may call the post method. Okay.
I learned about N12BR the other day with the name assignment. I almost used that 20 billion times to write my name out in asterisks.
So this is new line NL, new line to BR, to break row. Okay. And let's try this. When we are in this comment box, I want to use /n a few places in my example, and then hit the send button. Okay. only works in certain version of it. That's another problem, you know, and sometimes some of the code only works in certain versions of PHP. Okay, hold on a second. Let me try this. NL to BR. Converting the post. This it is NL to BR. Inserts HTML line breaks before all new lines in the string. Yeah, strange. It's not doing what it is supposed to do. Let me see if I replace this with HTML entities and drop this. Let me see if my HTML entities function is working. HTML entities is working for me. So what HTML entities does, if you have any HTML tag in your comment box, it will not interpret it. It will just display it as it is. That's what HTML entities does. So if you have, for example, if you have written like sort of kind of a comment box where somebody can look at their source code, and you do not want to interpret the source code, you want to show them the tags, then you can use HTML entities, and your comment box or text box or whatever it is, it's getting stored in a variable. The variable will still reveal the HTML tags and will not interpret them as HTML tag. We'll rather treat them as plain text. And then replace the HTML entities with strip underscore tags, and then refresh the page. You will see that it will simply drop the B tag altogether. So strip tags automatically remove all the tags. So the default is the HTML tag will be interpreted. HTML entities will display you the tags, and strip tags simply eliminate the tags. Okay, did everybody get to see that? Because I will be working with the same example for a few more things. In my HTML, I said enter full name. So I did not really enter a full name. I only enter a first name. But if I had a full name, and I'll just take it to the other side, I'll display the full name. So what I want to do is I want to extract from the full name just the first name. So in the process.html, in the process.php page, I have the full name sitting in that name variable for now, right? And I want to extract the first name out of it. So let me declare a variable called first. And I'll say string token. String token. From the name, I want to extract something before the space. Echo first name and first. Okay. Now, when you refresh the previous output, you do not need to go back to the HTML page. Just refresh and you will see that it is able to extract the first name out of the string. Also, let's try one more function. Total words. So I want to count the number of words somebody wrote in the comment box. So typically you will see this kind of stuff in applications where you're filling out and it just shows you the string count after that. So string word count. So you give it the variable, or you can directly give it the form element and it'll tell you the total number of words. Echo number of words in, because again, you know, this is a good one for after you strip the tags, because tags don't count as a word in this example. So the number of words in the comment is these many words, total words. And here you go. Oops. No, total words. I misspelled words. Okay.
So it was weird. I left in the line breaks and it was counting each of the line breaks as another word.
Oh, like you left the slash ends there?
Yes.
Yeah, it will
Like,
be. It will do that because strip tags only strip the tags, not the special characters.
well, it was also like right against the word. So it's just kind of weird how it separated the slash n, but it didn't actually do the line breaks for us.
Ah. And we'll try one more function, string function. Let's say if I put here, I'll try with my name. Okay. SB Yusuf. So right now, I'm echoing the full text. I want to replace that B, which is an initial, with the full form. So now I'm saying text equals to, I want to replace, look for B dot and replace it with bin. In the text. And return the change back into text. So Saad B dot Yusuf becomes Saad bin Yusuf. Bin is basically same as Hebrew ben, which means son of.
It's like you could read my mind because I was curious what that meant.
Yeah.
I had someone that would always call me Yeshua instead of Joshua.
Because in Latin, all the years becomes jers.
Right.
Like my last name, Yusuf, is basically the Hebrew Arabic word for Latin equivalent Joseph.
That makes sense.
Okay.
I can see the connection there.
Similarly, Jacob in Hebrew is not Jacob. That's the Latin version of the Hebrew word Jacob, because all the y became j. Like Jesus is actually Yasu or
Yep.
Joshua.
Mm-hmm.
Joshua, yes, and that translated. So there are a lot of those words
Right.
that are pronounced differently when they change languages. For example, Spain. The people from Spain don't call their own country Spain. What we call them.
Espan.
Yeah.
Espan.
España.
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 German is even funnier.
It's Almania, right?
What's German?
Deutschland.
Deutschland.
Oh, Deutschland. Okay,
Deutschland.
yeah.
Yes, Deutschland.
And somehow everyone else is like Almania or something like that, and we call them Germany.
Germans, right?
Hey, I'd be okay with us becoming USA. I like USA. USA, USA.
Usins.
America, right? We go by the America.
I guess the Americas.
Get it right. It's America.
Yeah, America.
Because I think R is one of those country names which is actually multiple words.
You know, I have not thought about that before. Yeah.
You know, there are a handful of countries like that. For example, we have United Kingdom, that's two
Right.
words.
Yeah.
Or United Arab Emirates, which is called UAE. So it is possible that our name is translated into local languages. For example, instead of saying United, let's say if they do not have any word that would be able to pronounce United, they will translate it to their local language, whatever United means in their language.
Estados Unidos.
So similarly, the states will be whatever it is in their language, whatever the state's equivalent. Because I know in Arabic, if you were to say United States of America, they say المتحدة الإمارات الأمريكية. So United becomes متحدة, states become إمارات, and America becomes أمريكية. So that, I mean, like usually people will not translate until unless they can't pronounce it.
So you said state was Emirat?
Imarat, right? Like, for
Emirat.
example, United Arab Emirates. So Emirate is actually the equivalent of English word states. So,
Yeah, that's what I was trying to get to. That's interesting.
because that country, UAE, is actually 7 kingdoms got together to make that one country. That's why it has 7 states in it. And
liking
Dubai
this
is
history
one
lesson.
of the 7 states. Say it again, Luke.
I'm liking this history lesson.
What's your nationality, Professor?
Well, I am originally from Pakistan.
Nice.
And a lot of people think that it's part of Middle East. It's not. We don't even speak Arabic. We're like so far away from Middle East.
When did you come to the United States?
I came to the United States as a teenager. It was in like over 20, 25 years, something like that. So if you look at this map, you know, this is where the Arabic spoken, right, where I am moving my mouse. And this is where the Pakistan is, right? This is like there are at least 2 countries in between the Arabia and Pakistan. And none of those 2 countries speak Arabic. Like neither the Iranians speak Arabic nor the Afghans speak Arabic. So yeah, this area where you see like this green color, this is called Southeast Asia. And this is Gulf. Anyway.
So my cousin lived in Abu Dhabi for like 2-3 years.
Yeah.
And I really regret not going out. I didn't have a passport. She
Ah.
offered to bring me out there. I was like, it would take me 6 months to get a passport. You know, I
Wow.
can't.
Well, probably then he was right here in the United Arab Emirates.
Yeah, yeah. Her husband is he's like a contract lawyer or something to that effect. He's a lawyer of some sort. And so for a while there, he was doing a lot of government work overseas, and he definitely has some story about him getting smuggled out of a country because that country's leader was kind of like covertly asking for a bribe.
Wow.
And his security team heard that and got him out of there.
Wow. Amazing.
I don't know. I don't remember what country it was, but regardless, it's one of my greatest regrets that I didn't have a passport because I would have loved to have gone.
Wow. Like, what is the old name for Russia?
Soviet Union?
Yeah, but what, like the letters?
USSR.
USSR, right?
Uh-huh.
And you can see that Russia is humongous even after 13 pieces came out of it.
Hey, they're getting bigger every day, unfortunately.
This, yeah, like this was all Russia, where you see this purple area,
Georgia, yep.
Georgia, Armenia, and all of that stuff. And all of this blue
Kazakhstan,
thing,
yep.
yeah, Kazakhstan,
Uzbekistan,
Uzbekistan,
yep.
Turkmenistan, Tajikistan, Kyrgyzstan, that was all Russia.
I mean, at one point, so was parts of Ukraine and, you know,
Yep.
all of that.
Yeah,
They were,
all
I mean,
of
they
that.
were all like satellite countries. I don't think that's a bad term yet, but they were all satellite countries at least.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
this tip, the westmost tip, that is on the other side of Alaska,
Yep.
because Alaska was also part of Russia. Wow, it's amazing how big Russia is. He's huge, and there, I think, like over 100 languages are spoken in Russia, or something like
It's
that.
so weird that that's Asia too.
Yes, it's
just,
Asia.
You don't think of it as Asia, but it is.
It is Asia, and it's like,
Yeah.
and Russia has 80 some territories in it, and a lot of those territories are independent, semi-independent. They are only under the Moscow for the trades and some of the other stuff, but each one of them is semi-independent, like they have their own government kind of stuff. And they have their own culture, own language. I mean, like, and that's how these territories that came out of Russia, they were like in the same state, and they decided to leave Russia. So that's how
I've heard stories I mean, I know we're way off subject, but I've heard stories through different documentaries of people in Georgia who have had their property, like they go to sleep in Georgia and they wake up in Russia because they moved like this barrier, this fence barrier. They moved it in the middle of the night, and now they're in Russia when they wake up.
Amazing. Amazing. Like we were talking about the other day, I don't know if it was this class or another class, that, you know, in Michigan, in Indiana, only like 20-30% of the Indiana is in the central time zone. The rest of it's in the eastern time zone. So think about living in central and working in eastern, or vice versa, right?
I do that now. You know, I live obviously here in Wisconsin, but everything for where I work is Eastern. So I like my computer for work, all that I left in Eastern time just so I have I mean, I know it's only an hour difference, but it makes a difference for a frame of reference.
It does. It does.
And then there's Arizona that doesn't even change their clocks for daylight savings time. So like half the year they're in sync with one time zone, and the other half of the year they're in sync with another.
And yeah, that's so crazy. Yeah. So what I want to do next is the PHP book I ask you to download from the syllabus, or you can, let me make one brief change here. Let me make it open in a new window so it doesn't opens up like in the middle of your window. So if you open that ebook, it is one of those O'Reilly books. And if you scroll down, it's like a full 800-page book. It's not like a code snippet, kind of like a short stuff of a book. So in this book, you start scrolling to chapter 3, you will see a lot of the stuff that we did last week. variables, operators, and data types. And then if you transition to chapter number 4 in that book, that's where it talks about the if conditions and switch case. And you will see that a lot of these topics that you see over here are no different from what you may call like Java or C#, right? And syntactically also, when you start digging deeper into this, you will see that you won't find a lot of difference either. So this is one thing that we'll have our focus on today. So we will go back and forth between the chapter 2 of the basic ebook from Cengage, which talks about functions and control structures. So as you can see over here, this chapter has its focus on 2 things, but later part of the chapter talks about if conditions and loops. And then we will also take help from this book, where an entire chapter is mostly about the if condition and the loops. So between the 2, you'll be able to see a good variety of it. Is everybody following that? So here, if you click on conditionals, because this PDF is all mapped up, so you can actually click on conditionals and it will take you to that page where the conditional starts. So I do not need to teach you guys what's an if condition. You already know what is an if condition, but all we are looking at is the syntax of if condition in PHP. And if you start scrolling down till you can see example 419, look at the if condition. Does it look any different from the if condition that you have seen in Java or C#?
Not really.
Not really. Other than the variable name with the $sign, it's exactly the same stuff. Similarly, if you go down to the else code, how about now? Does it look any different from that of Java or C#? And again, you'll be like, no, exactly like that. We write it in Java or C#. Now let's come to else if. Now, does that look any different from C# or Java? There is one difference. Can anyone of you spot that difference? That how is it different from Java or C#?
Oh, looks the same to me.
Look at the words else if. In Java and C#, they're written as 2 separate words.
Mm.
Okay. Here they're written together as 1 word. That's the only difference. Other than that, it works exactly the same way. You can have as many else ifs as you want. There's only one if, then there's only one else. Okay. So now let's put this if condition stuff in our example. So if we go back to Eclipse, and if we go back to that example about manager.php, I told you we'll be adding some more code to it. So what we will do now is, based on the name of the manager, we will start putting that manager as a, we'll start displaying the branch name, okay? So as we know that we have the following names: Sarah, John, Julia, Samina, and Monty, okay? Just for my reference, let me make a list of these names. So I got the Sarah, I got Samina, I got John, I got Julia, and I got Monty. Okay, those are the names I have. So I will be writing an if condition right here, and you guys can follow, right? So if the name equals to Sarah, then I want to echo the branch name to be, let's say, Jackson Heights South Branch. Else if, okay, and then let me copy this and paste it. I'll just change the name. Samina. Else, oops. Else. You guys can use a keyboard shortcut Control Shift F. Notice how this is how my code was before, right? So if I use Control Shift F, it auto formats my code with proper indentation. So the keyboard shortcut is Control Shift, oops, Control Shift F.
Control Shift what?
F. I wrote that in the comment too on line 11. Okay, so now when you guys are ready to run this, so where will you going to start running this? From links.html. So right click on links.html and run on server. And then you click on any of the manager's name, whichever manager you click on, you will be able to see the branch name. Okay, now we got to fix one thing real quick in our manager.php. I think I should add the BR at the end of this name so that the branch actually get to display. When this happens, double click. What is it doing? Okay, I'm adding the BR after the name variable. And now go ahead and refresh the output after that one change. And you'll see them in two separate lines.
Hey, Saad, can I see your manager.php?
Yeah. Got it? Okay, cool.
Yep.
So now let's go back to comments.html. Oh, we have somebody who joined us. Hi, Jack. Jack Lear. Let me update the grade book. Oh, sorry, the attendance book, I mean. Did you just join or you have been around for like a few minutes? I didn't see you. Oh, okay. So what I would like you guys to do is remember the comments.html that we did. So I want you to save the comments.html as salary form.html. Salary form. I'm just changing the name of it. And then I will be making some other changes to it. Okay, so instead of just process, it'll be process salary.php. And Jack, you would have to create the whole example. that clear? So, we're just modifying our existing one from today. So this is an HTML page. Do you know how to add an HTML page to the project, Jack? Okay, cool. So we'll be creating our first input box as hours worked. I'm going to call this one hours. And the second one we're going to call hourly rate. And let me put another text box here and replace the text area. I'm going to call this one rate. And in the value, we're going to call calculate salary. Or say calculate pay, I think I should say, sort of salary. And let me change it from process salary to process pay. .php. So whenever you guys are done with creating the form, create a page called processpay.php. So okay, so is everybody done creating the form? What I've done is I have divided you guys in groups So some groups have 2 people. In fact, let me do this. Let me add another room here. And let me move. Okay, so every group has 2 people in it. And you will be given 20 minutes in a group to work on what I just wrote in the comments, in the chat. I wrote the problem that I want you to solve. So that's why I wanted everybody to create this page, processpay.php. And I wrote in the comment section what I want you to code here in this PHP page. And you'll be doing it. I mean, like, you could do it individually and help each other out if you get stuck about something. But using if condition, you'll be solving this problem. Does anybody have any question about what I wrote in the comments? Or okay, then I'm opening the rooms now. So basically, the program is asking you to accept a couple of inputs, which is and I'll use the same name as I used in my form. So one of them is called hours. The other one is called rate. So we're going to do hours, and we're going to call this one rate. And I'll declare some variables like total, and I'm going to declare another variable called like overtime. Okay. Now, if the hours is less than equals to 40, then the total is pretty much hours times rate. Right? Total is equals to hours times rate. It's just no big deal. And if that is not the case, then we got to do the overtime, right? So the overtime is the total number of hours minus 40. So however many number of hours are there exceeding 40, more than 40, those hours will be multiplied by rate times and a half of the rate. So your total will be the first 40 hours, you will be getting the regular rate for the first 40 hours. And for the remaining hours, you will get the overtime. You guys follow that part? Luke and Tom?
Yep.
Yeah.
Here, then we display the total. So if I were to run this example, I'll run it from salary form. And when I run this from salary form, I enter the hours worked, let's say 40 hours at $10 per hour, and it shows 400. If I make it 41, then it's 415, because for the first 40 hours, it is $10 per hour, that's 400. For one additional hour, it's a times and a half, which is now $15 per hour. So that adds up to $415.
Can I see your code one more time?
Sure. Process payment. Here you go. Got it, Tom?
Just give me one more second.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, I got it.
Okay, cool. Awesome. So now going back to that ebook that we were looking at, the switch statement is the next one in the ebook. And this ebook is located where? You guys remember? It's right in your syllabus. This is the ebook file that I just loaded. So the switch statement looks very much like it does in Java or C#. There's only one difference. This is more closely related to C# because it requires even the last case, even if you call it a default, to have a break in it. So even the default case will have a break. Java doesn't force you to do that, but here, you have that. Okay, there is an alternate syntax in PHP, which you don't have it in C# or Java. If you prefer, you may replace the first curly brace in a switch statement with a single colon, just like that, okay? And final curly brace with an end switch command like this. So you sort of have have a Visual Basic. Visual Basic does something similar, not exactly the same, but it calls it select and select. So PHP give you multiple ways of writing switch. Does everybody follow that? Okay, so that's basically the main difference here. So we have switch, we have a variable, and then we have a case. If variable matches this case, then this will happen, break. If variable matches the next case, this will happen in the break, and it just goes like that. Okay, having said that, now let's switch back to our Eclipse. And if you remember that manager example we did, right? So let's first of all go to the links.html and let's save the links.html as links2.html. In the links to.html, we will replace all the manager links to manager 2. And Jack, since you were not here when we did this example, I shared the source code of like both of these in the chat, the links and the manager, so that you can open links and save it as links to. And then replace all occurrences of manager with manager 2. And then likewise, you guys go to manager.php and save it as manager2.php. So manager links.html will be saved as links2.html, and manager will be saved as manager2.php. Okay. Now we will start transforming this if condition into an equivalent switch case. So I'm going to start writing my switch case here, switch, and I got to use the variable name only once. Case, if it's equal Sarah, then I'll just copy paste the echo instruction followed by a break. Right. So this is how my case structures will be 1, 2, I got 3, and I got 4 cases. And then I have a default, which will be my 5th person default. Okay. So I got like south, west, east, north, south, west, east, north, and downtown. And the names are Sarah. The next one was Samina. Then I got John. Then I had Julia. And finally, the last name, which will be Monty, will be downtown. So let me then get rid of this if condition from down below here. Just delete this whole if condition. I don't need that anymore. Once I was able to write an equivalent switch case, So when you guys are done coding this, now run the links2.html. And in the links2.html is where you start clicking on the links. So let's say if I click on Samina Malik, and now notice it goes to manager 2, Samina is the name, and she works in the West branch. And that's exactly what we said. Samina is in the West branch. So it's just like, equivalent to an if condition, you have a switch case. And let me know when you guys are done with this one. So waiting for Luke and Thomas. Oh, got it. Awesome. Okay, guys. We were to go back to your ebook, and we go to our next topic here called the question mark operator or the conditional operator. You guys probably might remember this from your Java or C# days, where it is the only ternary operator that you got. So there is a condition. After that, you put this question mark. If the condition is true, the very first value after the question mark is the value that gets picked. If the value is false, then the second value on the other side of the colon gets picked. So that's the conditional operator, and that's how it works. So in places where if condition, could be replaced with a conditional operator, you're better off using it in that way. Okay, so how about we now take a break over here till 8 o'clock, and then when we come back at 8 o'clock is when we'll start looking into loops. Okay, so I'll see you guys at 8 o'clock. So before we went on break, I was telling you guys that we'll be talking about loops. And the idea of loops is very similar, exactly the same, rather, between Java, C#, and PHP. You won't see much difference. So the idea of loop is exactly the same. But the types of loops available to you in PHP, one of them is a while loop. The while loop is a precondition loop. You start with some kind of a value. For example, in this example, the author starts with a value of 10. And as long as the value is greater than 1, it just keeps looping. Now, this particular loop is an infinite loop because the value of fuel is not decrementing to reach 1. If it decrements, it will be decrementing like fuel minus minus or fuel minus equals to 1, however you want to do it. But it needs to decrement from 10 all the way down to 1. Okay. So that's while loop. Here is a much proper, like a proper example of a while loop that starting at 1, as long as the value of the variable is less than equals to 12, you'll keep looping and we'll be incrementing it by 1. What are we doing in the body of the method? We are just simply multiplying the count by 12. So it's generating the table of 12, pretty much. That's what we are doing. Similarly, if we were to look at the same problem, you can also solve it like this. What did we do different in the bottom code? That we moved the count plus plus inside the loop condition. So we started from 0 instead of 1 because it's a pre-increment. So before we check the condition with 12, we are incrementing the count to 1. So technically, this loop and the loop above are doing exactly the same thing. Did everybody follow this bottom example? Okay. With do while loop, the only difference is that you push the while condition towards the end of the body of the loop, and you put the word do in the beginning. But again, you know, this is where you can just do exactly the same thing. Curly braces are optional in this case because there's only one instruction in the loop body. If there were more than one instruction, then you would use them. Now, here is another example with a do while loop with curly braces. Then comes the for loop. For loop condenses everything in one place. So it starts out with 1 less than equals to 12 plus plus count. So it starts out as 1. Is 1 less than equals to 12? Yes, it goes and does the job. Comes back, increments it by 1, and then checks the condition again. Just keeps going through the process till the value of count exceeds 12. Okay. For loop can also be written like this, where you have the curly braces. If there are more than one instructions, then you'll use curly braces. It's the same idea. Okay. Another thing that you can do with for loop is something like this, where you have multiple variables declared as part of the body of the loop conditional statement. And then you're using their combination in the condition, and multiple variables are incrementing at the same time. So something like this can also be done with a for loop. If you want to exit from the loop before the loop comes to its very last value, you can use a break instruction to do that. So this is a simple example where the author is trying to write something to a file. And for whatever reason, if the write operation did not succeed, then he's forcing to break out of the loop using the break instruction. Okay. Similarly, we have a continue instruction. The continue instruction allows you to skip that particular occurrence of the loop. So in this case, if j reaches a value of 0, and we know that divide by 0 will be an error because divide by 0 is infinity. So we will just skip that particular occurrence of j, that if j is 0, do not do the division, just skip and go to the next occurrence. Okay. Now here's another beauty in PHP with that you don't have it in Java or C#. That the break command is even more powerful than you might think, because if you have coded nested for loops, then you need to be able to skip through one layer and not all layers. So if you have code nested more than one layer deep, Then you need to break out of, you can follow the break command with a number to indicate how many levels to break out of. Okay, so you want to break out of one level or all levels. So you can choose a number for that purpose. Okay. Now let's get to our PHP project, and we'll be creating a PHP file here. We'll call this one loops.php. So I will try out with a simple while loop, and then we will change that to a do while loop, and then we'll change that to a for loop. Okay, so we have our initial point set to 1. As long as the number is less than equals to 10, I want to print number multiplied by 12. And every time I print out a number, I want to create a new line and then increment the number by 1. Very simple program. It just displays the first 10 multiples of number 12. That's all we are doing here. And whenever you are done coding this, go ahead and run this example for you to get an output. And let me run it once so that you can see and I can check that it is generating the correct output, but it is not. Why?
Because you have I, not num.
Ah, good job. So I generated an infinite loop. Okay, cool. Good catch. And that's something that we do sometimes, make logical mistakes, and that results in an infinite loop. Okay. Now let's save this one as loops2. And we will now move the while instruction towards the bottom. And we will move the do statement at the top. Okay. And we'll just simply rerun the loops2 and that will generate the exact same output. Okay. Now let's save this one as loop 3, loops 3, and we'll change it to a for loop. With for loop, a lot of this information can actually fit inside the parentheses where num is less than equals to 10. So that instruction can go there. Num plus plus, that instruction can also go in there. Writing of the curly braces now becomes optional, but even if you leave them there, it won't hurt or harm. So now when you run it, it just gives you the exact same output. Yeah, please let me know when you guys are caught up with this one, then we'll move on to the nested loops.
Can I see your loop too?
Oh, yeah, sure. It's loading. Here it is. Okay, so loops 3. Okay. Now let's save number 3 as number 4. And now we will take this to a nested level. So instead of only going the first 10 multiples of the same number, we will go multiple layers. So let's call this one num, the outer layer, the first 12 numbers. And the inner layer, we're going to call this one num2. Okay. So what we're doing is we are displaying the first 10 multiples of the first 12 numbers. And between each set of 10, we will display a line like this. With its own BR. So now go to loops 4 and run as run on server for you to see the output that after each 10, it just gives a line as a separator. And whenever you guys are done with this output, I want you to then change this output. Oops, not this one, sorry. Let me open loops 4 again. Okay. I want you to change this output in this format where you are displaying a number multiplied by another number equals to and the answer. Okay. So for example, your output will be like, let's say 12 times 10 equals to 120, just like that, or 12 times 9, and the next line you will have 12 times 10. So like that, your output will be in this format. Once you get this format going, then change the format of line 8 to match that. And the rest of you, as you start getting done with this formatting, give me a green check, as some of your classmates have already done so. Okay. So echo, and then you are displaying the number times another number equals to number times number 2, concatenate that with BR. Right? And then here we have the output. Okay, I am putting you guys in a breakout room again for 20 minutes. And your task is to change this output of number 4 in a tabular format, HTML tabular format with CSS. Okay? So you're changing the output into an HTML table format, and you will going to enhance it with CSS. I see. Okay. So basically, anything that is static can go outside of the PHP, and anything that's dynamic will go inside the PHP. So when you are setting this up, you need to make sure that in the body tag, you'll be writing your entire content. And you will leave behind the head section for anything else, such as writing the CSS style, for example, okay, where you will be writing your table style, your row style, your column style, maybe your column heading style, whatever. Okay, now having said that, your table will start somewhere above, outside of the PHP, and will end outside of the PHP, and PHP will be dynamically generating the table rows. You could pretty much set up one row of the table beforehand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Why 5? Because I have one slot for the number, another slot for the multiplication sign, and another slot for another number. And then I have a slot for equals to, and then I have a slot for results. So each row will have a total of 5 columns. Now going inside, I will do that. Every time I run a loop, I'll be creating a new row. So echo. Oops. New row. Oh, no, sorry. And within that new row, you will be generating your output, which will be a bunch of TDs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. First TD will be just the number. Second TD will be the multiplication symbol. Third TD will be the second number. Fourth TD will be, we got 1, 2, 3, fourth one is equals. And fifth one is where you will be displaying the final output, which will be the result of their multiplication. So you pretty much break this out into those 5 columns. You don't need this guy either. Now up in the CSS, you can definitely go and write some CSS for the table. Okay, so that's basically gives you this nice tabular look. So going back to the code itself, 1, 2, 3. Okay, going back to the code itself, you can be setting the table width to, let's say, 600 pixels, for example. Does that make sense to you guys, what I just did here?
So what I ended up doing is actually like separating the like 1 x 1 into each separate cell, and then I added the table header of each different number and rows with the different numbers for the factors.
Mm-hmm.
And as I was doing it, I used a for loop to build the table as I went.
I see. Okay. Okay. So, but did you get the similar output is the question.
So yeah, I have all the right numbers and
I mean, like
everything.
everything is in the same format. Okay. So this is basically what I did here. As you can see that I gave an nth child, even kind of a deal. Okay. If somebody wants to have a row separator, then in the outer loop, you could do that you can have a TR. Oops. You could have a TR open, a TR close. And in that, you can do a call span of 5. And let's do a style right here. Okay. So when I do that, notice there is a solid line that separates each one of them. And I can pretty much use ampersand NBSP as a spacer. Okay, and then the line is a little bit more thicker. So that would automatically act as a spacer between them. I mean, like, so. Did everybody follow that piece? Now there's one more task that I want you to do, but this time you will be working on your own, not in a group. What I want you to do is you write an HTML form, and that HTML form will ask you to enter the number and enter the multiplier. Okay, so you're actually accepting from the user the maximum number that you want to go up till and how many multiplier you need for each number. You will then connect that form to this page, or you may want to save this as a separate page. So you're basically giving user the power of figuring out how many multiplier he needs for how many numbers. And the output will be in the similar format. Does everybody follow what I'm asking you to do? Okay, so set up a form page, which will submit to a nested loop page, which is generating all these numbers. And then you're controlling that, and the user is controlling that. So let's set aside 15 minutes till 9:15 for everybody to work on this. And then let's see how many of you get it and how many of you didn't. Okay. So there under unit 3, you have a quiz. And then you also have an assignment number 2. Well, assignment number 2, problem number 2, we did something similar to this one. However, if you notice, I have a slightly different layout as opposed to the multipliers showing vertically. Now I want them to be shown horizontally. And all the multipliers for the same number will show in the same row. So that's something different that you would do with your homework problem number 2.
Oh, that's how I did it today in class.
Yeah, I understood what you're saying. So yeah. So if you did it that way, you probably already did the problem too. But anyway, so that's basically what you have to work on during the week, and then that'd be all for tonight then.